each and every day. It's the 100th birthday. You can celebrate with us with this WNYC Stanley Cup. And you can help us chip away at this really essential goal to unlock the $50,000 from the Piper Barron Foundation. Again, we're trying to raise $250,000 by noon today. We can only do it with your help. The number 888-376-9692. The website is wnyc.org. Give now. Show your support for the radio station that you rely on. We know that there are listeners out there who are giving and supporting. Alan in Jackson Heights just donated. Thank you from Michael. Your work is essential in the election coming up. And for the county here, we're starting on Saturday. Those words mean so much to all of us. So thank you, Alan, for your support. We invite you to join House and show your support. And
Oh, the fuck I did not.
376-9692. We'll go online to WNYC.org.
It's Morning Edition of Your News. I'm Stephen Steve in Washington, D.C.
And I'm Michelle Martin, coming to you from WHYY in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Steve and I have been traveling around the swing state, talking with voters. In a few minutes, I'll tell you about my visit with the pastor and community activist in Allentown. He's trying to persuade voters who still are not interested in this election that they should be.
First, we follow up on the release of secret documents about Israel. The documents discuss Israeli preparations to attack Iran. Israelis have said Iran became missile attacks on Israel. And the documents appeared over the weekend on Telegram, a popular social media channel in many parts of the world. Greg Myrie is covering the story. Greg, good morning.
Hi, Steve.
First, what are the leaked materials?
We're talking about two U.S. intelligence documents, apparently based on spy satellite photographs that describe plans for Israel to hit Iran, as you noted. So the actual photographs are not part of these documents, but the documents describe what it calls Israeli preparations, which is practicing in-air refueling by military planes and the movements of Israeli weapons like missiles and drones. The documents have described what Israel might do in an actual attack it might carry out. Still, this is setting off alarm bells because such sensitive material made it onto this Telegram channel called the Middle East Spectator, which is sympathetic to Iran.
Yeah, so how did this stuff get out?
Yes, Steve, we don't know, and the intelligence community isn't saying. They are investigating. One suspicion is that it was leaked by U.S. government officials, but we want to stress this is no confirmation at this point. The documents were apparently prepared by the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, or NGA. We don't often hear about the NGA, but it does this critical work of examining satellite photographs. The NGA is not commenting, but a former intelligence official who spoke with our colleague Tom Bowman has seen the documents on Telegram and said they are authentic.
So I've been to figure this out. We should note that secrets are not secrets forever. If Israel had already attacked Iran, this information would be of great interest. But Israel did not yet attacked it, and now some kind of information is out. It's likely to cause Israel to delay or change or recalibrate its plans.
Yeah, we don't know, and they're not saying. I mean, even before this document episode, the possible Israeli actions were pretty widely discussed publicly. Israel has promised a tough response. The Biden administration has been pressing Israel to not attack Iran oil operations or nuclear facilities, saying this could further escalate the conflict. An official familiar with these discussions has told NPR Israel is not planning to hit either of those facilities and will instead focus on Iranian military sites. So it's been almost 3 weeks since the Iranian missile attack. We don't know when the Israelis will respond. It could come at any time. We are expecting it before the U.S. elections in about 2 weeks.
How did the suspense over that possible attack affect the national world?
Well, I think the really important thing to remember here, Steve, is we're entering this dangerous new territory with Israel and Iran striking each other directly. The type of Israeli response may well determine whether this round of the direct attacks is over or whether it will continue and potentially escalate.
Thanks so much.
Sure thing, Steve.
In the shadow of historic sleep, residing over the street in Allentown, Pennsylvania, we talked with the founder of an organization trying to encourage young people, especially young people of color, to become more politically active. Yes, it's in those times. Our conversation with the Reverend Edwards comes with a brief tour of his congregation's new home. There are elegantly carved pews, elaborate glass stained windows, the basement, a replica of the Liberty Bell.
It's very loud if you
I want to hear it. This is the former local church where the Continental Congress did the original Liberty Bell to the British in 1777. Today, it's a predominantly black congregation, resurrected by the church, which Edwards leads as senior pastor, while also being the organizing initiative of the town.
We're in the business district, what some folks call the heart of Allentown, that's hard to do. But it's, home is where the heart is.
Reverend Edwards tells us the center of the city is very different than it did a few years ago, just like the people who attend services at this church. But some things have not changed, which is why his partner has a 300 congregation around the area. It's the battleground of the battleground, which they have become.
So the Lehigh Valley has about 600,000 people. The cities, Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton are, well, they're all held in awe by that. But all of the surrounding areas, all of them are very related, which makes it work.
So it's not that people change their minds. It's not that the people change. It's a question of who gets their people out. Is that it? Well, you're a pastor, you're a community organizer, and all of the above. Do you feel like you have a role in this?
I mean, I'm doing everything I can to be able to have folk that are in my universe understanding what's at stake, but also having conversations with rightfully cynical folk that have been led to believe that life has to change for them. Whether it was Barack Obama that looked like them, or Donald Trump that really didn't give about them. They're saying, how does voting impact me? So I have to acknowledge their system. I mean, they're rightfully cynical because I get it. They don't understand what's at risk. All they understand is that when they go to the grocery store, they keep getting less in the bag. That's not a 5-minute conversation. That's enough for them to have a better talk, right? So I think that there's not been an investment in deep relational organizing that really helps politicize people so that they're not feeling like they're invisible and disposable.
There's been a lot of talk about the move makes some young African Americans and Latinos for Trump. You think it's more discouragement? It's more that people just aren't feeling it.
I think they're not feeling it, and I think that when there's someone that intentionally has messaged about the notion of a black child upset, that's not just him coming up with that. It's him being in a relationship with folks that are saying, yeah, the reason why black folks are struggling is because there's a new minority group that's entering the country illegally. They've been messaged that. That's protection.
Do you think it's interesting that Trump, of all people, rich, inherited wealth, legacy wealth, never before in his life, probably never lived so young, has tapped into something that people who presumably are foreign to have not? Do you think that there's something interesting about that?
I think when someone says, yeah, government's broke, it ain't working. I mean, I think there's brothers in the barbershop, there's folks in the basketball courts who are like, yeah, it's broke. Now, are they connected the dots between police brutality and you're not voting so that informs what the police officer does? I don't know if you're connected the dots with that. But I think that there's a general cynicism about government. And I think when you have a political character that comes forward and says, yeah, it's broke, I think it messages the folks that have come out like, yeah, it's broke. And they're coming after me, and they're going to come after you. I think that there's folks that are like, yeah, he's right. Or he's too renegade, he's so outspoken. It's not like the college, Harvard pedigree. I think there's some of that too. And we're having conversations between folks who are legacy civil rights voters who know we're going to vote. And some of their grandchildren are like, I ain't going. And what we learned through research is you can't change them. You can't put your finger in folks who are really economically suffering and say, you should vote. And we fought for this. I have Dr. King, Ellen Baker, Andy Lou Hamer, Malcolm X. I have John Lewis. But that's the generation of people who do my children. So we have to show up. And we've got to do it like we do it year round. We can't do it simply 2 weeks before the most consequential election of our lifetime.
That's the Reverend Gregory Edwards. He is the senior pastor of Resurrected Life Church. He also leads an initiative to encourage more civic engagement. Later this week, we're going to hear from Latino voters in Allentown and some super voters in Bethlehem with their take on primary candidates. focus of such a pitch political balance.
Women who show up for mammograms are gauging their risk of breast cancer, and it turns out they have an opportunity to gauge their risk of another disease. Jackie Fortier with our partner KFF Health News has the story.
Breast x-rays, better known as mammograms, are typically used to detect breast cancer, but the pictures also show whether arteries in the breast have calcified.
It looks like a thickened white line.
That's Dr. Heather Johnson. She's a preventative cardiologist in Boca Raton, Florida. She says those thick white lines are sometimes associated with heart disease risk and are unrelated to breast cancer. They've been visible on mammograms for decades, but the information hasn't typically been shared with patients. Johnson says women want to know.
They want to be aware and also be able to have the next steps available to address it.
At Dr. Johnson's practice, looking for calcifications in the arteries of the breast is part of a routine mammogram, and it doesn't cost extra. But some mammography practices are charging, sometimes over $100, to have artificial intelligence algorithms look for those calcifications. Often, this extra cost isn't covered by insurance, says Dr. Sadia Khan. She's a preventative cardiologist in Chicago.
It should raise a flag. Why isn't a healthy